Texas Governor Greg Abbott joins us live now. Governor, welcome to you. Can you offer up any new details on this investigation?
So the FBI to determine whether or not the gunman was acting alone, which we suspect. We think he was a lone wolf operation. However, we must track down every piece of evidence to determine whether or not he had any connection whatsoever with somebody else who may have radicalized him, or if he had any connection with any broader terrorism organization. We have to not only eliminate this shooter like what has been done, but we need to eliminate any potential future shooter or anybody else who may be involved in terrorism. And so we will not rest until we track down every single piece of evidence to ensure that either we limit this only to this one shooter or we track down anybody else who may be involved.
You know, anybody in law enforcement will tell you, Governor, that these lone wolf attacks are the most difficult to prevent, particularly when they involve somebody who would not immediately be on their radar. Apparently, the only interaction, according to the Austin police chief, that this person had with police in the past was a welfare check that was done in New York because of a mental health issue. They were a naturalized U.S. citizen from Senegal, and that's maybe not the sort of person that will be high on your radar if you're thinking of some sort of retaliatory strike in the name of Iran.
Well, you're right, but that said, I think the United States of America as a whole needs to do a better job of investigating and looking into people like this who pose a danger. We have to up our game, knowing that lone wolf terrorists like this can occur, and we have to do a better job of trying to identify them and get to them before they get to anybody who could harm our fellow Texans or fellow Americans. This guy was obviously radicalized for one reason or another. And hopefully the FBI and the Texas Department of Public Safety will be able to stitch together all the different pieces of his background that will provide a blueprint that we can use going forward to try to identify potential dangers like this before they kill anybody else.
All right, I want to ask you about politics in Texas right now, Governor. President Trump making his endorsement. He says this: "I'll be making my endorsement soon. We'll be asking the candidate that I don't endorse to immediately drop out of the race. Is that fair? We must win in November." The Hill's running an article: GOP anxieties are on the rise in Texas after the Tallarico victory. What do you want us to know about what is happening in Texas with this race?
Well, for one, any concerns about Tallarico, I think, have been put to rest over the past 24 to 48 hours when it's been revealed all of the crazy things that he has said over the past just few years. What he said makes him look like a conservative. And I think this guy is going to get buried badly in this race. You may recall that I beat Beto O'Rourke, that Ted Cruz beat Beto O'Rourke, and this guy is a poor man's Beto O'Rourke. And he, I think because of the things he has said, he has no chance of winning Texas. You know, if I had $1 for every time someone said they're going to turn Texas blue, I could buy Fox News. And it's not going to happen this year, especially not with this character. But also know this about Tallarico. It's not just these bizarre things that he said about 6 sexes and different things like that. It's also the voting record that people are going to realize, especially Texas voters are going to realize how dangerous he is. Because, listen, he wanted to defund the police. He wanted open border policies. He wanted boys and girls sports. He wanted to deny us the ability to cut property taxes of Texans, and even came out in favor of increasing an income tax, a state income tax in Texas, which does not exist, but he would like to provide one in the state of Texas. And so this guy is completely out of touch with where Texas voters are. I think he stands no chance of winning in Texas.
Polls show at the moment that it'd be a close race, whether it's Paxton or Corner, but we'll see if that changes. A long time between now and November. These elections do seem to come upon us pretty quickly. I wanted to ask you about this, Governor, because this is the 5th anniversary of Operation Lone Star that was launched by the state of Texas in response to Joe Biden putting a big welcome mat on the southern border and letting just about anyone and everyone in. In those 5 years, illegal border crossings are down 87%. You've had 500,000 plus illegal immigrant apprehensions, 63,000 criminal arrests, 50,500 felony charges, and 862 million lethal doses of fentanyl seized. You obviously have a president now who shares your concerns about the border, but without Operation Lone Star, where do you think the state would be right now?
It'd be in total chaos. So to be clear to your audience, Now, all those numbers and metrics that you just ticked through, those are what were achieved by Texas before President Trump took office. And so Texas on its own was able to achieve an 87% reduction in illegal immigrations into our state, into our country. We had to try to fill the gap that Joe Biden had left open. You know, people's memories fade and people sometimes forget that it was just over a year ago. We were still having, 5,000 people cross the border a day. Yeah. Because of Joe Biden's open border policies, including very dangerous people on terrorist watch lists, as well as murderers, rapists, and things like that. And that's why we deployed the thousands of National Guard, which, by the way, we still have 3,000 National Guard on the border as we speak right now. The difference, however, is now we finally have a president who is actually enforcing the laws of the United States of America. And as a result, we have the lowest number of border crossings ever coming across our border. But what we as leaders in Texas are doing, we want to make sure that we keep the border secure, not just for the next 3 years of the Trump administration, but for the next 3 or 4 or 5 decades, ensuring that the border will remain secure like that wall you're showing right now. That is a wall that Texas built, miles of it. We will continue adding more miles of border wall as well as other strategies to make sure that even after President Trump's term is over, Texas will have the most secure border of any state in the United States of America.
Governor, appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.